Welcome everybody to a new channel that I've decided to call Bedtime Comics. And instead of telling bedtime stories to sleep, we will be discussing what comics I've read. Tonight, we are starting with Werewolf by Night. I have the Omni for it, which I was lucky enough to get for a decent price off eBay, surprisingly. And we would be going over issue 1 today. It's got some really good artwork for something that was made in, I don't know, 78, 77 maybe. So, the gist, Werewolf by Night started in Marvel Spotlight number 2, was the first appearance of Werewolf by Night. And it was a very good issue. We will break it down with, it opens with the werewolf killing a mugger, and it's the typical, he wakes up, he feels like it was all a dream. This has never happened to him before. Uh, but he got shot in the dream by a cop as he was fleeing from the mugger he killed. And when he wakes up, the only thing that makes him think it's not a dream is he's got a cut on his arm where the bullet had grazed him. And we find out that his name is Jack Russell. So he's going to be our main character for the series. Uh, we find out that his mom is being treated badly by his stepfather and his stepfather's chauffeur. And oddly enough, it is also his 18th birthday. He's just turned 18. So they throw him a party. He goes to the party, and he ends up having to excuse himself because he starts changing, but he doesn't understand what's going on yet. So he runs away and ends up changing, and he's got a little bit of control with the werewolf side, but not a lot. The wolf still pulls on him hard enough to control most of what he does. So just keep that in mind as the story progresses. But as he's fleeing from the party, he sees the driver with the hood up to the car that they're driving the mother around in, and he's under there with a wrench messing around. Well, the werewolf brain processes that he's working on the car, but it doesn't process what he's doing. Just that I guess he's not a threat, and the werewolf moves on. Well, the werewolf goes out into the wild because all he wants to do is get in the woods. That's a natural predator. He just feels like being in the woods with the wildlife. And he stumbles across a bunch of abandoned mansions on the beach side. And as he's going through, he encounters an actual wolf. And they have a tussle, they have a fight, which I'll show you a little bit. It's okay. Like, I wasn't really expecting to see a werewolf fight a wolf necessarily, but I mean it's drawn decent. Like, it's an interesting enough fight. And I mean, the werewolf is your typical, at the time period, like your Lon Chaney, Universal Monsters type werewolf. He's not the complete what you think of a werewolf now, which I don't know if I would even use that now because everything's gotten so weird now. I know my typical image of a werewolf is something I will see from movies like The Howling and Dog Soldiers, the bipedal wolves walking upright. Of course, werewolves have gone a long ways from there now. Now you've got, they're just big giant wolves running around, and then you've got the four-legged kind. I mean, it gets complicated, but this is more like the old Universal monsters. Not Lon Chaney. Maybe it is Lon Chaney. I can't remember offhand. I don't. I can't remember offhand. You'll have to correct me in the comments. Uh, so anyway, back to the story. Well, he ends up killing the wolf. They end up in a fight. He ends up kicking it off a cliffside and ends up killing it. Well, the next morning, his stepfather finds him laying out on the beach, and he is told that his mother had went out looking for him that night, and the brakes went out in her car, and she's in the hospital. So he leaves to go to the hospital to visit his mother, and she's in like a full body cast. I mean, she's messed up, and she reveals to him that his real father, I'll show you what she looks like in the hospital. Just bear with me a second. I mean, she's pretty much laid up in the hospital, and she keeps talking about how she's dying, so she wants to tell him the origin of the curse, because apparently she already knows about the curse and never let him know about it. So she tells him that she had married his father. She had met him, if I remember right, through school or something, college or something. And it wasn't in America. I can't remember where they said it was. It was across seas somewhere. And his father would, she said, for 2 years he would disappear into the tower. I guess they lived in a castle or something. Said he would disappear into the tower for 3 nights every month, and she never really questioned it. I guess she didn't want to. And there came up a storm one of those nights, and it blew the wall down, and he ended up getting out of the tower and ended up attacking the people in the village. And just from the old folklore, they had silver bullets handy for whatever reason. Which I don't quite understand how that went hand in hand there, because if he kept himself locked up for 2 years, I don't see why the villagers would even suspect there was a werewolf among them, but that's a whole nother dilemma. Maybe he wasn't the only one. I don't know. They didn't go into that. But the villagers end up killing him, and they bring the body back to the mother. And of course, she had already had given birth to him, and she was getting ready to give birth to his younger sister. So she ends up moving to America, and the villagers had revealed to her that it was a blood curse. It was passed down. So on the 18th birthday, they kind of told her to prepare that he might be a werewolf. His younger sister might be a werewolf. It runs through the family, but it doesn't hit everybody in the family. It's like a hereditary thing. Like some people get it, some people don't. So his mother wasn't really surprised that he got it. So she explains all that to him, and then she ends up dying. After, well, let me back up a second. So at the end, well, yeah, she ends up dying. I'll save the other part for the next issue. The next issue dives deeper into that. It doesn't. There's something else to it that comes up in issue 2. So just bear with the next video. I'll get back into where that was going. So after she dies, he becomes the werewolf that night. And well, before he becomes the werewolf, he goes back home. And he's all worn out, and the doctor comes in, gives him a shot of something that knocks him out. But before he goes out, while he's still groggy, the stepfather receives a call from the chauffeur, and he overhears the stepfather talking about, I'll bring the money, to whatever address. So and then he goes out. Well, night comes in, and when he becomes the werewolf the next night, he goes to the address that the stepfather was supposed to meet him at, and gets in a fight with the driver. And the driver is a big dude. I mean, you can see right here. I mean, the driver is. I mean, he's like a Scott Steiner. And I mean, the werewolf, he pretty much gets his butt handed to him for a while. But of course, he ends up killing the man, and his stepfather shows up while he's in the shadows. And his stepfather shows up to pay him off, but his mama had made him promise that he would not seek revenge or do anything to hurt his stepfather. So the werewolf wants to kill him, but he's holding enough control that he wants to honor the promise to his mother. So he hesitates for a moment because he doesn't know 100% that his stepfather is in on this. So he doesn't want to jump to a conclusion yet until he knows 100% that it is what it is, and it's not. Maybe he's being blackmailed into something. So he that's kind of how I won't say issue 1, but issue 2 of the Spotlight is basically the first issue of Werewolf by Night. For all accounts, till he gets his own series. But that's how this introduction of Werewolf by Night ends. So it was a very good read. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I was kind of hesitant because of the older side of the material. I didn't know how it would hold up. I've been reading comics since 1993. My very first issue was Web of Spider-Man 97 off a spinner rack in Food Line. They were $1.25 back then. So, I mean, I've been in the comic game for a long time. Old stuff doesn't scare me off much, but offbeat stuff, like Werewolf by Night had done come and gone by the 90s when I started reading. So I was a little iffy about it, but I'm into horror, so I was willing to give it a try. But if you're the least bit interested, I would definitely say try to find. Your best bet would probably be to get it off Kindle, Amazon, or something digital, because the omnibus is way out of print. I got very, very lucky to get it for the price I did. Uh, and the Epic collections, I believe they're out of print, so you're going to be looking at a pretty penny for them. So the digital Epics, if they're still around, that'd probably be the way to go. But with it coming up Halloween, I mean, this is perfect Halloween reading material. They treated everything well. Uh, I mean, that's all I got to say about this one. And stick around. I should be making these videos daily because I read comics very often. Don't be afraid to check my channel out. I stream video games through the day. Uh, Add me in PlayStation and we'll play some multiplayer stuff. Depending on if we play the same games or not. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. So just keep your heads up and just keep reading. So I will see you next video.